Art Auctions with Sunny Chandiramani, Senior Vice President at India's premier online auction house called AstaGuru.
Thank you so much, Sunny, for joining me on this episode of Karishma Connect. It's a pleasure to have you. Can't wait to know more. I've already had a brief, interesting chat with you, and I'm super excited about this one. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Karishma, for connecting with me on Karishma Connect. It's going to be a fun weekend. I hope so.
Absolutely. Really, really delighted to be connecting with you this Saturday. First question I ask on any podcast is tell me about your journey so far. It's been a wonderful one from what I've seen, but I'd like you to define it for me.
So, as we know, we're going to talk about art today. Okay, but my journey never started off with art. All right, I had various other things in mind. I'm a science. I have strong connection with science, so I wanted to go on top, join NASA, but my
Wow.
family never wanted me to go to US. They were very protective and possessive about me.
Huh.
So then I took the ground, and that's how art transformed in my life.
Huh.
Actually, it's I feel I'm a destiny kid, and art just fell in my lap.
Thank
I
God.
didn't choose art. There's a very famous proverb they say that you don't choose books, books choose you. I
Yeah.
think art is very similar to that. I
Mm,
never chose it, it chose me because I come from a very non arty background,
mm,
correct? And I didn't know this world existed. Okay, and I remember still very distinctly that I was having my 10th class first English paper finals next day, and on Sunday evening, I was watching the movie Mummy.
mm.
And I thought to myself, oh, I need to work in a museum. And the lead actress was working in a museum as a librarian. And I thought I need to become a librarian to become, to work in a museum. Because, art is not so exposed in India way back. There are no avenues out here. So it just fell in my lap. That's why I say I'm quite lucky that, it chose me rather than me choosing it.
Mm,
And yes, of course, the journey has been very interesting so far,
mm.
and there's never a dull moment in art world because there's so much out there, Karishma. There's so much out there. It's just that the more you know, more you think you don't know anything.
Yeah.
It's like a
It's
deep
endless.
ocean.
Mm. There's so many possibilities, so many diversities. What excites you about that space?
I think that's the reason what your question answers, my answer in a very apt way. There is so nowadays art has become a brand, correct? We associate art with certain a artist or from where they come from, but I feel art is culture.
Mm,
Okay, if you need to know a certain culture from certain period, you need to know their art. And if you connect dots with that regards, art just doesn't relate to your sculptures or your paintings. It goes deeper and wider with regards to what kind of weapons they used, what kind of clothing they had, what kind of utensils they had, right? So, and they had no exposure. If you
mm,
talk about Harappa civilization and all of that, they didn't know, right? That all came to their mind. And I think that is piece of art. And that's exactly why it's piece of our heritage as well. There's so much to study and learn from there. So, yes, I feel that is the most interesting part about art. So, art has changed gradually over the period of time. But if you ask me, pick one particular place or one particular area or what art in totality is, I think the whole global community is art in itself. In fact, people,
mm.
they're piece of art as well.
Yeah,
I'm sure those thought crosses our minds very often, right?
absolutely. Yeah, yeah. There's so many perfections, imperfections woven around.
100%. It's only when you turn back and see you realize how far you've come in life.
Mm.
But today, if you ask me, Sunny, uh, is that it? I will say no. That boring part still continues. I have to still read. Believe you me, it's been like my 13th year is going on in AstaGuru right now and affiliated with Art World. But I read every day, Karishma. I take time out every day, an hour, to read about art. And that could be art in general, art business in general, paintings in general. It could be so many things. And I don't know whether it is a good or it's bad right now at this moment, but there is so much out there. All right. And now there is so much online. Like, again, I don't know where to start from.
True.
Although I have so much of experience, I won't say so much of experience, maybe a little bit of experience, okay? But then I don't know where to start from. Because if you Google, maybe just Google modern Indian art, or maybe just Google most famous artists in world, every page will give you different answers.
Yeah, absolutely. You also have
So
the
those
AI.
are, yeah, those, yeah. So that makes your life very interesting. That keeps your job very interesting at all given point of time. You know, you're always on your toes, and I think it's all about each person's interest. Okay, if I have interest and I want to read, I'll read.
What's exciting about doing that with AstaGuru? Tell me something about AstaGuru as well.
So AstaGuru is India's, I would say, the most prominent online auction house. Okay. There was a
Yeah.
point in time where AstaGuru used to do 4 auctions a year, and we do close to 3 auctions a month sometimes.
Mm,
And we're a bunch of young team.
mm,
So that's the fun part. The energy is vibrating, hustling, too chaotic, because when you have young energy, it's too chaotic. And Tushar, who's the owner of AstaGuru, Tushar Sethi, he is the epitome of energy. He's a big ball of energy. So I think that deviates everywhere, the little bit parts which
fun
is
one.
sprinkled on all of us.
Yeah.
Um, and right now, I think we have close to 180 people working with us, and we started off with 4.
Wow. That's a journey. Wow.
Yeah, it feel like a seed, grown into big banyan tree. It's an amazing thing. Yeah, feels good. See, most of the time, collection of art is an experience. All these billionaires who buy art, okay,
Mm,
or the new collectors who want to start collecting art, it's an experience for them.
mm.
Otherwise, end of the day, it is just a piece of cloth and few colors on it.
Yeah. Yeah.
If it doesn't move you from within, it doesn't talk to you, doesn't reciprocate your feeling within. Okay, good, bad, ugly, could be anything.
Mm,
But it demands that kind of attention when you're looking at it. I think that kind of energy is very important when a person collects art. He needs to resonate with it, right? So if you see from where I come from a very happy working place. Okay, vibrating with that energy with my collector, who both of us may looking with that kind of energy to a lovely piece of art. And that's when collector can connect with it. Art is very philosophical. I mean to say, it's just not bang on just the canvas. Sometimes when I stand in front of any artwork, I really feel that, oh my god, this particular artist, for example Raja Ravi Verma, would have stood in front of this canvas thinking, what am I supposed to draw now? And then he picked those colors, and he thought about it, and he touched this particular canvas, and then he would have left it. And the kind of emotion that he goes through, okay,
mm.
you get to experience that on canvas. It's much deeper than that. I
Yeah.
mean to say, and for that you cannot put a price. There is no price to that. It's priceless. And
Right.
exactly when another collector, a buyer, connects on the same level, right? Then then you see world records happening on auction platform.
Yeah. What have you noticed about the evolving preferences in different age groups of customers that you've seen? Because you've been in the business for some time now. What have you noticed about how people choose the art they would like to
I think uh, it varies a lot. Art is an extension of you,
collect?
right? What color you're wearing right now, what color I'm wearing right now is an extension of us, right?
Yeah.
It's the same way art is an extension of a collector. A
Mm,
young collector might be very hustling. Okay, at the start of it, he might buy some really funky, cool, swanky art, very contemporary.
Mm.
And then from 20, he becomes 30, his art preference, his color preference changes, his dressing style changes, his stature changes, right?
Yeah.
And then he collects different form of art. So I think it's a journey. There is no point in time where the person gets stuck to one particular form of art or artist or kind of collection. It keeps changing. And that's the very reason why you get to see so many art which comes back, for sale. Because you lived it. Whatever it had to do to you, it's done.
Yeah.
Right? There is no more that art can offer to you, but maybe for somebody else. Maybe somebody else who's starting off right now. So I think it's like endless journey with the collector. And it changes. There could be some young collector who could just straight away go to serious art. There are those serious people as well out there. So they go straight up to serious art and they'll buy some serious stuff and they like old classic stuff. And there are those very few. But I think it's more or less the kind of journey that I've seen with young collectors is that it gradually changes as and when they change in their life. Their stature changes. And but then there are some more collectors, the recent collectors that I've seen. Suddenly when you have new money and you get invited to all those exclusive houses,
Yeah.
and then you want something that is there on your wall as well.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
sometimes I do get some kind of messages from people like, listen, hey, I saw this on somebody, at somebody's house. Can I please get the same thing? They're not aware of who the artist is, what it looks like, what's the story behind it, but they love it. It's a status symbol at this moment. It is the highest level of status symbol at this moment. It's a luxury which very few people make themselves feel very exclusive about having it on their wall.
Mm.
And it's a pleasure of 2 seconds, not more than that. I come to your house, I look at beautiful painting and I say, wow, what a lovely piece of art. That's it. You're happy. Your day is done. Your evening is done. Seriously.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think it's that for 2 seconds of pleasure. To be very frank, most of the collectors are like that. But having said that, there are still different genre of collectors. See, you gradually you change, right?
Mm. Mm.
You become more mature, right?
Mm. Mm.
Sometimes you buy an exclusive piece, which you think is an exclusive. You put it right at the entrance of it, thinking that I want everyone to see it. And there will come a time in life where you want that exclusivity just for you. So maybe then that comes in your reading room or maybe in your private, living area. So art is an extension of a collector in many ways.
Tell me, what excited me about going through your profile was that here was somebody who was exploring a role that, forget about, not many, even I wouldn't have heard of. It was a fresh story for me, and it was a fresh space to explore to begin with. Tell me about some of the roles that people can actually take up in this space, which you are inside. And this is a space that not many people explore, not many people know about, is at least from my limited surrounding as much as I know. I haven't heard many people go down that path. What can you share about people who might be passionate but don't know which role to take up?
Anything at this moment. I mean, to say you can be anything. You could be a writer, you could be a photographer, you could be, into marketing, you could be into client relations, you could be a researcher, anything. You could be a restorer, you could be anything. It's up to you. You decide that, listen, hey, I want to be this. All right. See, because every profession has all these people.
Yeah, yeah,
So it's not different. It's just that people are not aware of it.
yeah.
So you could be a journalist and you could be part of this, right? You could be a writer and you could be part of this. It's not just restricted to artists anymore. And that's the beauty of it. The difference is people are not aware of it. I think it is just about having more information, but then there are various departments. that one could get into. Like in AstaGuru, we have, I don't even know, we have marketing, we have PR, we have data, we have research, we have content, we have finance, because of course, end of the day, it's business of art as well.
Yeah.
And yeah, there's loads. The specialist, there's loads. Seriously, there is no end to it. You can pick and choose what you want to become, and you can just walk the path.
That's so Do you think there's anything that makes a successful artwork in today's times? Is there any hack to it? Although from your conversation, I doubt that you would say that. But is there anything that you believe? Is there anything that you've understood about an artwork that works?
Ah, I don't think so. If you ask me, Sunny, please tell me what's the reason why this art did well and why this did not. I think it's more or less who connected with it, which collector found it, you know, very interesting to have it on his wall. I think it's resonating with art, which what makes art very successful, uh, rather than anything else. See, art is communication, right?
Yeah.
It's communicating something to you. Are you the listener? When you listen, and depends who's listening, and depends how many people are listening. Okay, that's what make it successful. Only when it's heard by people, that's where it gets its due importance. Like we were discussing before we started this podcast, where I mentioned that there's so many stories, right? You mentioned there's so many stories that you want to reach out to people. And why are these people very excited to be on your platform? Because they want somebody to listen. It's exactly the same way. It's all about emotions in the end. Am I connecting with you emotionally? Am I not connecting with you emotionally? Is that art connecting with you emotionally? It's that not connecting with you emotionally will decide its fate. Very simple. The basics of life never change. No matter even if you get AI technology, the basics of life will never change.
Do you see AI entering the space in any way?
Yes, they have already, and I think in future there will be, how you have contemporary department,
Yeah.
how you have marketing department, how you have finance department, how you have modern art and all. I think there will come a segment where you will have AI generated art.
Yeah.
Okay, and there will be collectors who will again resonate with that kind of art. And what's harm in that, right? It's creativity.
Yes.
We have to be more acceptance, right? I personally feel that one should not be neglecting certain part, because if you neglect, there is no growth. We actually have to learn to coexist with our technology around, and it will affect art in a great way. And I think AI will do something really interesting in art world, and there will be those takers as well. There will be takers who will not like classic Indian art or a classic Western art. They will like AI generated stuff, and they will be probably a younger generation, or maybe I don't know, but there will be takers for sure, because there are various kind of people out there, right?
Yeah.
And everyone has different taste. You'll pick what you like. I'm very excited what AI has to offer.
Yeah.
Very excited. I get to see so much out there, AI generated stuff, and I get very excited. I mean, to say, I'm sure most of these artists who are no more with us, they would have been very excited too. How cool
Absolutely.
is that? I mean, to just insert few things and you get everything on your desktop. How cool is that? I think it's very interesting. So I think AI will definitely uh, add some new avenues to existing art world and the way it works. And people around us will change it. The new generation, the younger generation, they will change it. You see it happening already, right? People are becoming very minimalist, right? They are not holding things to themselves. They're not even holding place to stay. They want to be a nomad, citizen of world. There was an article which I read where people were talking about, I don't want to be restricted to this one particular country. I want to be citizen of world. And when that actually gets into existence, that's when your virtual art will pick up, because you don't want to keep it at one place, right? You don't want to move it, right? You want to have it, you want to experience it, you want to enjoy it, and you want to carry it with you wherever you go, and nothing like your laptop or iPad or phone. So that is the future that we are getting into. So art is going to change a lot, in drastically, in various forms.
As a collector, whatever you've noticed in the same community, is there something that you think needs to change? Or people need to, for example, do you feel like people need to value art from a different eye or be more um, aware and conscious about the way they address particular choices?
uh See, India is only country which has amazing culture, rich culture, very old culture. And it I feel extremely sad about the fact that there are certain pieces that you get to see in museum abroad, well preserved,
Mm.
compared to stuff how they are taken care in India. So I personally feel that one has to start valuing what we have. Okay, and it doesn't start just being a collector. It starts from scratch. It starts from going to temple and not spoiling the architecture of that temple, because that's also been piece of art. So when our basics are clear, it becomes a DNA. Then you will have that kind of importance in acquiring that piece of culture, that piece of heritage, that piece of history, welcoming that kind of stuff in your home and on your wall. So I personally feel, um, it's when we start valuing our own culture, own heritage, we start, then we'll start valuing art, and we'll start seeing art in different perspective, because art is just not restricted to canvases. Art is just not restricted to sculpture. There are so much. There are manuscripts, right? There are those amazing architecture buildings that you get to see, right? There are these amazing poets. There are amazing books, vintage books. So I think it starts at our basics. Because 10% of population who are art collectors cannot change the world when 90% of the population doesn't even know what's out there,
Very true.
right? So I think needs to start from this part, and which is like massive.
Thank you so much, Sunny. On that wonderful note, I end this conversation. But thank you so much for sharing these insights. It's truly a field that's rather unique, and I'm sure it's really going to engage listeners because it engaged me. I completely got to know about an entirely new industry. So thank you for doing that with me.
Knock, knock. Are you still here? Well, I'm super happy that you are. Thank you so much for watching and tuning in. Please do like, share, and subscribe to Karishma Connect across platforms. And I look forward to bringing you many more such amazing stories from around the world. If you've got one, please do get in touch. Lots of love.